and welcome in to episode 31 of the Orlando Drummer Podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. We got brother Chris Brack today. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Chilling, man. Chilling. Been beat up this week physically.
It's
rough
been,
one.
yeah. Obviously for you, I know that you've had a lot of projects going on around the house, and then I've just been at work, working my ass off for the past 3 weeks. It's been a busy season for the production industry, so that's a big positive. For everybody.
Events coming back, everything.
Exactly. So, now we get to go and enjoy events and have more stuff to talk about, which is exciting.
Oh, yeah. So. Let me ask you this, actually. I was curious thinking about this earlier today. When you do different types of exercise, like especially aerobic exercise, like cardio, how does it make you feel after? Like, how do you feel in the hours after going for a run or like breaking a hard sweat?
I mean, usually more productive.
Really? You feel more productive?
Yeah. It's more of like a momentum thing. I think we've all kind of experienced just like, I did something. And then automatically, just because of the serotonin release in your brain, you're now like, I can do more.
Sure.
That's kind of how I am.
Like you start the day in like a higher gear sort of thing?
Yeah. I know a lot of people, like a lot of like people I look up to are like 5 a.m. workout people. Yeah. Where they're just like, start my day, 5 a.m., workout, then I get coffee, breakfast, water, and then I start my day.
Sure.
They're just like more productive that way.
I like the thought of starting the day in like a higher gear, but man, I've been finding this week, so I've been practicing a ton recently, like an hour to 2 hours a day, and not just practicing, but like full intensity, like rehearsing for a drum clinic I have coming up, actually, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But man, I don't know, I've been finding like, for me, cardio, specifically cardio, not weightlifting, not like every type of exercise, but cardio leaves me like so foggy. I don't know if it's that I don't get the like dopaminergic or serotonergic like hit that a lot of people get.
You don't get a runner's high?
I do, but it feels like it feels like I'm high, like uncomfortably high, like out of it and can't focus and can't concentrate and can't listen very well. Like I'll put on a podcast after I go for a run or play drums for like 2 hours. And then I'm just like, I can't even hear what they're saying. Like 3 minutes go by and I'm like, I don't know what was said here.
It's probably
like,
your brain just like, dude, rest for like a second.
Yeah.
And so it's like you used a lot of physical and brain power put together, which is the drums.
Sure.
Why don't you just take a second to chill?
Yeah, that's what I'm not, not good at.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, of course, like you feel more productive because of, doing aerobic exercises and everying like that. But your body might just tell you, hey, slow down.
Sure.
So it's best to listen to your body.
Well, if I'm a little sluggish today, that's why. Definitely feel it. I don't know. I'm not used to practicing at full intensity. That's a big difference too, right? Where you play as though you're on stage, like practice that way. So just covered in sweat, man, it just leaves me kind of foggy feeling. But anyway, so that's the other kind of cool thing we want to kick off here. I'm officially playing the Tam Tam Drum Festival in Seville, Spain. Seville, if you're from Florida like we are, but
yes, but Seville.
Yeah, Seville. Man, I'm so excited to play this. But what's funny is, we booked it through Meinl. Meinl Cymbals helped book the gig, and they're mainly responsible for helping me get there. But this was maybe a month or two ago, and so we got it booked. But they don't tell you who's on these things. They don't. They don't tell. They just say like, "Hey, you're playing it. Congratulate," and that's it, right? So like 3 or 4 days ago, the flyer comes out. Oh, man. Dude, this whole thing is so much different than I thought it was because at the very least, I hope that I'm opening for, who is it? Let's pull it up, dude. I don't want to like not mention any of the names.
You texted me this photo and I was like, holy
dude, I know. I'm going to grab my phone over here.
I got it right here. All right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So from the top, I don't think that this is in order of, like,
I hope it's in order of who's playing, because
if you go first and open it, then that's great.
I have to open, dude. I do not want to follow any of these people.
Because we've got Damian Schmidt, Dave Weckel, Jergo Borlai, Manu Reyes Jr., Peter Erskine, Virgil Donati, and Rafa Rabal, and Rare Folk.
Dude. And the hitters are Weckel, Borlai, and Donati. Are you kidding me? If you made a list of the top 20 most technically skilled and accomplished drummers in the world, all three of them could easily be on that list. Top 20 of all time. Easily could be, man. My first pair of drumsticks ever were Dave Weckl's orange signature sticks in like 2002 or something. Like orange, or are they the maroon ones? I can't remember.
Was it the Zildjian? Or
they were Vic Firths. I think they were Vic Firths. Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember if he was
Weckl. I think he's Zildjian or Sabian, I think. Just crazy. And it's not like I watch all of these drummers regularly. So I went back over the last few days and watched some Jurgo Borlai videos and Virgil Donati videos, and just like, oh my God, dude, it's such a mixture of like terror and excitement at the exact same time. Like, obviously super exciting to like meet him, hang out with them, share a stage with them, really cool. And then at the same time, it's like, I'm probably gonna fuck something up. Like,
I mean, I think you're overthinking it. I think if anything, you will, because of the age gap that exists in that. I think. Moreover, they'll be impressed, probably. They probably won't know what to expect. Because I'm willing to bet, not to like put you down, they probably don't know your background or your history into the drum industry. But you know theirs.
Yes.
So they're just like, who's this guy? And then you have every right to go from zero to hero in that regard.
Sure. Yeah. And texting a few, drum buddies about this, like, oh, dude, can you believe these are the people I'm going to be playing with at this thing? And again, hopefully opening for it. That's my hope. I hope that I'm like the social media based opener for this whole show. That would make the most sense if that's what I was brought in for. But I was talking with Eric and Proda, and he had great advice. He was like, dude, he's like, you're not gonna impress them or anybody else by like trying to be like hyper technical or competing with them. He's like, your best move is just to play to your own strengths. Like, do whatever you're good at. I'm like, I needed to hear that. That's really, really true, because there is one thing that you can confidently say, something that I can do that Dave Weckl cannot, is demonstrate like my own personal style. Like that's a non-competitive element of music. Like, nobody's going to sound exactly like you when it comes to your touch, your feel, your mannerisms, things like that. So, it's a good opportunity, good exercise for me to lean into my strengths, and not try to compete technically, if that makes sense. Because like, any one of them will just wreck you. It's not worth it to look at it that way. So, man, it'll be really, really fun. Only thing that sucks, 11-hour flight to get over there.
So
that's
why is it 11?
You have to go out of Miami. So
you're flying from Orlando to Miami, and then Miami just to
Sevilla. Yeah, straight to Spain.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, just 11 hours is brutal, man. Because even if you sleep, you're not sleeping the whole time.
But
11 hours.
It's not 11 hours from Miami to Spain.
Yeah.
That's the 11 hours?
That's the 11 hours.
That's crazy. When I flew from Orlando to Frankfurt, it was 6 hours.
Really?
Which is farther.
That seems crazy.
I don't know what airline you're taking.
Yeah, actually, I don't know either. I have no idea what the airline is.
Because I was asleep, but like, 6 hours and 11 hours. I've been on a 15-hour flight.
And, dude, 15.
Oh my God.
No, thank you.
You come out of that wanting to murder somebody.
Yeah.
So I can see why people do that.
Well, and so there's one other thing I wanted to get your opinion on, actually. And anybody listening, I'd love your opinion as well. This festival, have you ever watched any of the videos from Tam Tam? Which you've probably seen them on accident. There's so many of them. Yeah,
I've definitely seen them. It's just I can't recall them right now.
They're really cool. Just like a big indoor theater. I think the theater holds like 1,000 people, and it's normally packed. But it's really, really cool. They have all of the drum sets on the stage behind the kid that's playing, and they're all on like rollers. So
they roll the stage deck out.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. Super, super cool. So it's a really cool looking setup. But they have a translator, and I've really been trying to think about how much of a clinic I want to make it, where you teach a lot, like you play a little bit, but it's like a big lesson and then questions at the end. And I don't know, something about having a translator there makes me feel like I should play more and translate less. Imagine trying to teach patterns to 1,000 people as it's like getting live translated, right? Like something about that seems a little like clunky. Like it would just make more sense to like talk a bit less and play a little bit more.
It could, if I would say talk to your translator prior to the clinic. It's important to kind of get a feel for what their diction and their dialogue is like, as English being probably their second language.
Yeah.
Unless it's not. But then they can at least say, okay, talk a little bit slower or talk a little bit faster because I can keep up, or maybe I can't, or something like that. Yeah. And then maybe it might flow nicer.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Maybe just a more of like a mini lesson is kind of what I'm thinking. Because my clinics normally I'll do like a song, maybe 2 songs, 30 or 40 minutes of like a lesson, and then like 1 or 2 songs at the end, and that's kind of it. You do questions and answers and stuff. But anyway, I'm thinking I might do like 6 or 7 songs, a little heavier on that, but I don't know.
Did they not ask for like a formula or did they not give you like a structure for it? They just said, here, just take an hour.
Well, it's weird. They didn't give, they basically said take an hour and have a bunch of songs ready, and that was kind of it. And in watching all of these other Tam Tam videos, over the last several years, it's a total mix. It's a mix of people who just played like an hour of music and then like walked off. And then there's some people who do like full-blown like drum clinics with lessons built in, audience exercises, all that kind of stuff. And then there's people that do these hybrids. So I have a feeling it'll be up to me, but I don't know, something about like if I went to a clinic in a foreign country and the drummer didn't play very much and they talked and it was all translated, I feel like, I don't know if I'd like that. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Curious what you think. It's still a month out. So.
Yeah. Brush up on your Spanish.
Yeah.
There you go. Formal Spanish. You got Spanish from Spain, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Than any Spanish that you'll get here.
I speak more Spanish than anything else. I don't actually speak Spanish, but I got some.
Than any other language second to English, right?
Yes. I know more Spanish than any other.
Yeah.
So I do need to brush up though. I was thinking about getting some like YouTube lessons or something.
You can get a phrase book or
a phrase book would be nice. Yeah.
If you know anybody that speaks Spanish, have a short conversation with them.
Yeah.
And just
my electrician, Jose, actually.
There you go. Talk to Jose and then say, hey, I'm going here. What do you what do you know? Unless he's like, I'm from Puerto Rico. I don't know anything about that. Like, their languages are so different.
Portuguese, very different.
Well, no, Puerto Rico speaks Spanish.
Oh, Puerto Rico is Spanish. I'm thinking of Brazil.
Spain, but Spain speaks Spanish, but the dialect is just so
slightly
different and slower too. So probably easier to understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's awesome.
Hell
Can't wait, man.
Yeah, man. Well, so we'll have more news on that as it gets a little bit closer. Oh, tickets for that, by the way, both digital tickets, if I'm not mistaken, for the live stream, and tickets in person at the actual venue in Sevilla. Those go on sale October 13th, which might be the same day this podcast comes out, like Monday, I think, Monday or Tuesday.
That's Wednesday of next week.
Wednesday. Okay, so mid next week.
Tuesday. I'm getting my days mixed up.
Around the middle of next week, tickets go on sale. You can go to tamtampercussion.com or just Google Tam Tam Drum Festival. You'll find it. But yeah, I'll have some more news on that soon. And then I meant to ask you too, dude. You went to the Harry Styles show.
I did. I saw.
How was that, man?
I saw a very talented man.
And a high budget production.
Holy moly! Okay, so if I could take a break
to
talk about the production element of the show.
Yeah, I want to hear about it. Yeah.
So it's an arena. So you have a rotunda set up. They basically just had one center stage with only 2 sides being extended all the way out about maybe 40 feet to a smaller stage, which lit up from the bottom, which was already impressive.
Cool. And it's a lot of floor seating, but then it's an arena, so it arcs up.
Yeah, I think that maybe floor seating looked to be about 3,500 people. And then it's a 20,000 person arena. So it was from the floor to the ceiling, sold out, packed. Crazy. The audience is mostly younger women, so needless to say, my ears hurt afterwards.
Oh, yeah. Did you sit next to a screamer?
Well, I was with my girlfriend, and then, weirdly, the people around us were not loud.
Oh, that's good.
But the sound from the floor resonated around the arena so much.
20,000 teenage girls.
Well, yeah, if you just think of like how sound works, it just kind of curls in and then goes straight into your ears, and then you think you're going to bleed. And then... above it had maybe, I don't know, let's call it 350 lights for the entire show, 4 very large video screens able to be viewed from any angle in the arena.
Yeah.
2 40-inch disco balls that came down at the end of it, an incredible amount of lighting on the stage itself. And the band was absolutely phenomenal.
I was going to ask, they did full band, I imagine.
Full band. Yeah. They've been touring with him since he went solo.
Cool.
For most of those members. Pardon me for forgetting the drummer's name. She was amazingly
female
clean.
drummer.
Yes,
Cool.
yeah. Actually, mostly female was the band.
In the band, okay.
I do remember the name of the guitarist for the tour. His name was Mitchell Rowland.
Okay.
He was killer. And then they had a percussionist on the gig. And if you've ever listened to Harry Styles, it's pretty simple. It's pop music. So any percussion that's riddled into the production is very minimal. So the percussionist had very small parts. If you want to audition to play for Harry Styles, I'm sure you make it.
You get it.
But this dude was having the time of his life on stage.
Yeah.
Just like he would clearly have like half of a verse to just screw around and was just like dancing. It was insane. And then it's fun. I missed going to shows and seeing people with that level of talent portray it live and kill it. And he did a big thank you to everybody involved in the production, the crew, security, and the arena itself.
Yeah, at that level, they might be touring with 100 people, you know.
It looked like when they did, so his opener was Jenny Lewis, who's
I haven't heard of her.
I want to call her a country singer.
Okay.
Very, very beautiful voice, very, very nice music, very simple. Reminded me of every country artist I've ever listened to. Sure. But when they did the swap between the opener and him, it looked to be like 20 techs on stage just scrambling.
Yeah.
And going for it.
Yeah. It's arena level, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that arena level is insane of what they do and what they can accomplish in a timely manner. It's crazy. Then they had cameras and it was wild.
Nuts,
it was
man.
wild.
Yeah. I like some of his music. I like a lot. It depends on the song. There's a handful that made it on the radio that, like, personal opinion, are like throwaway pop songs, like not a big deal. But there's some songs like buried on the album. Kelly will play it sometimes, and man, there's a handful on there that are like, whoo, like that is a excellent, like poisonous melodies where like you can hate this and you're gonna sing it all day, like that catchy, that good. Like there's some really, really good, like timeless pop writing. Reminds me a little bit of like the songs about Jane era with Maroon 5, about just like, if you say you don't like it, then you just don't like catchy music, and that's it. You know, like it's just super timeless songs that have no expiration date. Like people will enjoy this 30 years from now, 100 years from now. So music like that.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. It's what it will extend his career for 3 or 4 more decades.
Sure.
And he'll just, retire after that and stay cool.
Yeah.
And his best song, I didn't go just for my girlfriend. I do enjoy his music.
Oh, I'm with you. I would have enjoyed it too.
So my favorite song on his first album, he performed, which was crazy because it's like an 8-minute song. Yeah. And like 3 minutes of it is just jamming, which was, I was like, well, that's cool. So ecstatic to see that. Cool musician there seeing that. Yeah. And then one funny story, I've never experienced this. Maybe it's like post-COVID or just the fact that it's an arena gig. Obviously, being men, we have no lines in our bathrooms, and women have huge lines. Yeah. So I was like, man, I gotta pee. I've had 2 drinks already. Let me just skirt into the bathroom during intermission. And I'm the only man in the bathroom, and there are about 15 women just waiting for the one stall in the men's bathroom. Weird. Which I was like, we all do that. Not that big I don't care. Deal. You're using a stall, you're closing a door, whatever. And all the women felt uncomfortable. And as I was like washing my hands and leaving, they kind of went, thank you. And I was like, for what? You're just taking a piss. Like, I don't care.
Wasn't trying to make it weird.
Yeah. So, but that was interesting. And then I went, how many stalls are in the women's bathrooms? Gesturing to my girlfriend. And she's like, 8. How many are in the men's? And I was like, 1. One stall in the men's bathroom. Arena? Well, in the not the bathroom, but what I'm assuming every men's bathroom on that level had 1 stall and 7 urinals.
That's funny.
I was like,
well, at a show that was probably 80% female.
That was what one of the girls was saying. Yeah, she was like, the core audience is female.
If there was ever a time to be like, hey, we're going full gender neutral bathrooms today, like when well, I mean, it might have been 90% female at a show like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense than any other situation for sure. Not like an equal distribution of gender at a show like that.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. And even some employees were just like, I don't care. It's the same mess to clean up.
I wouldn't care in that situation. Yeah.
Who cares?
It's the same mess to clean up.
It's
good point.
Yeah,
good point.
yeah. And so for that regard and that argument of people pissing and shitting in the same hole, like, who cares?
Yeah, I feel you at the Harry Styles show in that circumstance for sure.
Yeah.
Well, dude, that's awesome, man. I'm jealous you got to go to that.
Yeah.
Sick, man, sick. Well, we do have one segment we're going to do today. We're making this somewhat of a more of a chill episode. But
it's very relaxed. I think it's more so we're very, very, heavily worked, and
yes,
it's hard to talk about stuff. But with exciting announcements like Tam Tam and seeing live shows for the first time, it's good to kind of get into a different rhythm.
Sure. Oh, absolutely, man.
But for the most part, we still talk about drums, right?
Yes.
At this
show.
We circle back. And one of our most popular segments on this, one of the originals from way back when, is Accent or Ghost, where we get Adam's view on many aspects of the drumming industry. And at the end, we'll get an approval in the form of an accent or a disapproval in the form of a ghost. So our first topic for Accent or Ghost, Adam, is drum racks. What you think about them? How are they? Are they cool? Are they heavy? Do they suck? Do they rock?
Drum racks. So I just posted. What did I post? It was on YouTube in the community area of YouTube. I'm actually I'll put it on the screen. But what I did was do like a little poll. And I asked people, I said, what is your opinion on drum racks? I gave 5 options. So I'm curious who you think won this, actually.
Because I don't know the results. You kept them hidden from me.
So there's 5 choices. Choice A, everyone needs a rack. Choice B, they're for metal players only. Choice C, they're useful but too ugly. Choice 4 is undecided, and then choice 5 was other. Explain yourself in the comments. So we basically have everyone needs one. It's only for metal players. Useful but too ugly, or I just can't decide.
I want to think it's I can't decide, because if your audience is anything, it is that they are smart and that they listen to what we say, which is use things for their use. So I think maybe they thought, I can't decide. You use it for what you use it for. So maybe it's undecided.
So that was the second most popular choice. 22% of people, we had over 1,000 votes on it. 22% of people said they were undecided, but 40% of people said useful but too ugly, which I thought was really interesting. That means most people are like, oh yeah, it makes sense, but I won't use it.
You have an aesthetic displeasure to something that makes everything easier,
right? But I mean, that's how I feel. Like, I could appreciate the utility of a rack for sure. Like, of course it makes everything easier, but like, I don't like how that looks.
At the same time, I don't like racks because they are massive, and it makes for, I don't know, setting up in a hurry to be kind of a hassle. I think that if you're on tour, cool. You flip that thing out, everything's saved, nothing changes. I remember I probably mentioned this on the podcast before. I did a loadout with for Alice Cooper, and Glenn Sobel was their drummer on that tour.
He's sick drummer.
Insane. And he had a rack for that, and it just folded, went in a case. So for the next night, they just have to take it out, unfold it, and it's done. And then you're just putting like toms where they go, and it just makes the tech's life easier.
Well, we had one comment on this thread from Mauricio Boles, who actually mentioned Gibraltar has a stealth rack. And Google this real quick. You ever seen that thing?
I think I have. Let me
Yeah,
Google.
Gibraltar stealth rack. For those of you guys that don't know, I'll put a picture of it on the screen for those of you guys watching on YouTube. But it's basically like a super low profile rack where the horizontal bars only go like maybe halfway up the floor toms. Like, they don't go in front of the rack toms. They don't go like above the kick drum. It's like really, really low on the ground. And it's not a rack that's like 3 sides where there's one big bar that goes all the way across the front of the kit and then 2 bars that go along the side. They're really small. So let's just say on the right side of your kit, if you had 1 ride cymbal and 2 crashes, you could put all 3 of those on one of these little stealth racks and leave that over to the side. So I don't know, to me, this idea made a lot of sense. So what I did was I emailed Pearl and I asked them, like, is there some way to make something similar to this with the Pearl rack setup? Because Pearl setups are really modular. Like you can buy one giant rack system, like the Icon rack system, and it includes all, everything you would need. But you can also order little individual parts, like one single straight bar or one curved bar, and then little adapters and little cymbal grabbers. And so I'm working with Pearl right now to see what we can sort of like, I don't know, I don't want to call it like Frankenstein together, but like build something using Pearl products that resembles that low profile kind of stealth idea. Anyway, so we'll see. I think it'll be a really fun video because for me, I don't know. I don't break down my kit and set it up very often. So like if I was touring, I wouldn't be interested. Like I want stands, fold them up, throw them in a case, way easier. But if I don't have to touch it and I can leave it all in one place, I like the idea of cleaning up the floor, not having all these legs everywhere, because it's just, it's chaos down there sometimes.
Yeah.
Like not that you film it very often, but so much easier to vacuum under your kit, to run cables down the rack, things like that. So anyway, I'm talking with Pearl to see if we can actually cobble something together. But anyway, we're trying to accent or ghost rack units. I would say I'll give them the accent for the non-touring drummer. I think if you are, unless you have techs, if you're at a certain level, do whatever you want. You got, people to move your gear around.
Yeah, who cares about your opinion? You just tell Jeff to deal with it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If you have enough hands to fold the rack up and put it away, then sure. But I think where it makes the most sense, this is where I used to run into racks all the time. The like stay-at-home dad drummer, like the guy that's retired and he's got money, he's got his drum room or a man cave or something, and they just do the rack to just have like infinite accessories. Like I get it. That makes life so much easier. And you're not gonna move it if you're not playing shows or you've got a backup kit to go play shows with. So I think in a lot of scenarios it could make sense. That or metal. If you're going hardcore metal, a rack is probably the way to go, man. Why not? It's just a vibe. It's got a vibe to it. So
holds more stuff. Easier for Vortex and a touring metal gig to just plop up. Boom. Tom. Everything's triggered because you're a metal player and nothing's tuned. And then you just pop everything up. Yeah, of course.
So I think I'll give it the accent overall. It's not for everybody, but I think it's probably. It's a shame that something so useful doesn't get used that much because of aesthetics. That kind of sucks, but I get it. I'm kind of a nerd for aesthetics too. If it's ugly, I normally don't want it on the kit.
I challenge somebody to find the functional drummer, which is somebody who ignores all aesthetic anything and just says, no, this just works because of this one reason that I have it, I don't think that exists.
Yeah.
I think some people are a little bit too hyper focused on like how things look.
Sure.
Which is fine. I don't care, but
it's contextual too. I think you find in the studio when you're really recording for an album, like high end sounds, people tend to not care about aesthetics at all. Right?
It's not being photographed or recorded.
Right. I think that's where you get some of the coolest sounding, but probably the most hideous drum setups would be in the studio. Like whatever works, man. Who cares?
If you've ever seen, and of course, like names, I'm so bad at it, but the drummer for the Black Keys did an overrun of like their studio setup. And
it's just some piece together
ugly
monstrosity,
just like piece of shit. But
probably sounded dope.
Clearly an influential music group. So it's like it didn't go to waste.
Yeah.
But all right, cool. So we'll accent drum racks. The next topic on Accent or Ghost is, what do you think about EQ-based products for bass drum muffling? Which, for an example, anything made by Remo, Evans, Pearl, Tama, Mapex, whoever makes anything to just put inside of your bass drum to help EQ that sound.
Sure. So a lot of companies make these, right? I know Evans is called the EQ pad, I think is what they call it. Pearl has one too. It actually came, I don't know if it came with the Masterworks. I think it might have come with the Session Studio Select over there. Maybe, I might have that wrong. But a similar looking, weird shaped pad, and they have these Velcro strips that go inside your bass drum. The Velcro strip goes on the wood, and then the pillow has a corresponding Velcro strip, so kind of holds it in place. And I really don't know how different it is from like a t-shirt, right? Because when I was growing up, I don't remember those products existing.
Or
when I was like 13,
or,
it was a towel.
Yeah.
It was the pillow out of the guest room.
Yeah, I put a moving blanket.
A moving blanket
in a kick once, and it sounded dope.
It sounded
awesome.
fine, I bet. Yeah, it depends on the size of the kick too, because your last kick was a 24?
22 by 16. So
22/16.
Yeah.
So I mean that's fairly big. Yeah. Well, that's probably close to like a normal size kick, really. Mm-hmm. But I think the bigger you go, the less effective those EQ pads would be. Like you're gonna need, if you're in a 24 or 18 kick, like those things aren't gonna do enough. I have a feeling you would need like an actual pillow off of a bed, or you would need like 5 or 10 sweatshirts or something. It just depends on the kick and how lively it is.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I really have to do an A/B sort of test. If I remember this correctly, the Evans EQ pad comes with like an EQ graph printed on the like packing material, and something about that seems like a touch silly. Like, I don't really know, dude. Like, are you going to hear that or not? I do think that one of the advantages, though, is that they hold the pillow in place, so it is partially touching the actual drum head from the inside.
Yes.
Right? Because if you put a bunch of random t-shirts in there, they're going to get bunched up and move around a little, and at some point they might actually all slide up against your reso head, which is not what you want. That's not where you want to mute. Just like on a like, let's just say a rack tom, you don't mute the bottom. Like, you want that to be open and resonant. That's why it's called the resonant head. You want to mute the top head, the batter, so you control that energy from the beginning of the sound source, not the end. So I think that's one advantage of those kind of pillows, is that they can just stay in place. They don't actually bounce around a little bit. But I think when you get into a certain size drum, I don't know that it would be enough. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. I think I'll give them the accent to start the process of muffling a bass drum, but I don't know that it's the be all end all. I think there's some scenarios where it's just not enough and you're going to need a little bit more. It also depends on your kick drum head setup. You know, I use an EMAD, which is not a resonant head. It's meant to be like a modern, punchy, super attacky sort of kick sound, which it is. But it's not really that resonant. You know, if you were rocking like an Evans calf tone, right, like a real old school kind of sound, like a jazz sound, you might want a little more sing out of your bass drum. I don't know. That's going to be trial and error. Depends on the drum. I'll give them the accent overall, but just as a starting point, I would say don't think that that's all you'll ever need in every scenario. You're probably going to need to experiment depending on what you're doing, you know?
And I think it could be mended, too, in post-production as well. Like, you can go into Logic and EQ your bass if you have, you know, a mic for your resonant head and a mic for your batter head. You're able to tune those to whatever you need to.
Yeah. You know, one random piece of gear advice I could give people to check out is the company is called... I think the company's actually called Kelly, but the name of the product is the Shoe, SHU. I might have that wrong. Google that real quick just to make sure I'm not going crazy. Kelly, SHU. Anyway, what this is, it's a microphone that gets mounted in your bass drum, but it gets mounted in the dead center of the kick drum, like it floats in the center. Okay. You see that thing?
Yeah. So it's like I think.
What's the description of it? They're gonna do a better job than I am.
Our original patented shock mount system for kick drum microphones. No drilling required. So I guess it depends on the existing lugs. And
you
screws already in your bass drum.
Yep. You unscrew and then you like put a little washer. And the washer connects to an elastic band, and then these bands sort of like spider web towards the center, and it's a tension-based thing. It floats it there like a shock mount.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, they have one that actually sits flat on the bottom of your bass drum, too. That's really cool. Yeah. Wow.
Interesting. So what I do is I have the Audix D6 on that thing, which hovers in the center of my kick drum. That's where I get all the modern punchy type sound. But then I actually have the Earthworks, I think it's the LS20 is the Earthworks kick microphone, and that's where I mount in the traditional spot, like through a porthole. And to be honest, it's just two different types of kick sounds, but I'll blend those two together is what I normally do. I used to do a kick batter microphone like on the front side of the kick, but to be honest, it was just so slappy and attacky. I didn't need that high end of a sound. So but anyway, highly recommend that. Is that what it's called, the Kelly Shoe?
It is Kelly Shoe, trademark.
Kelly Shoe. Yeah, I would highly recommend that thing. It's like $50, but there's nothing else like it on the market. I've never seen anything like that.
I thought DW made like a shock mount. Like,
did that?
Well,
I don't know. I mean, if your porthole's big enough, you can put a microphone in that spot. It's just like a really low, really long boom arm for the mic stand, which is just not ideal. Like, you're going to walk around your drum set and kick that thing and rip the resonant head. I've done that like 1,000 times. My dog, Rhino, has ripped a number of resonant heads doing that. So, yeah, I like the idea of that thing right in the middle. Really cool invention. Really cool.
Yeah, they do have a similar system that mounts inside of the bass drum, but not like the Kelly shoe. It actually just mounts. It's a rail that mounts directly on the lugs inside of your kit. And you run a microphone cable to the inside, which is similar, but I think
it's a cool idea.
The shoe, because it's a patented trademark, so DW couldn't steal the actual concept for it, probably keeps it from resonating against the bass drum head and therefore improving sound quality.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get any rattling. Starting at $47.
But also imagine for touring, what a smart thing. You can leave the microphone in the kick drum the whole time. And so it's just reach in with an XLR, click, click, and your kick drum is mic'd up the same every single night. You don't have to worry about a guitar player running in front of the kick, in front of the kit, hitting the boom arm, sticking out of the kick drum, ripping the reso head. Because no kidding, I've done that like 5 times. Like, just walking around the studio or filming or doing something, and your ankle catches the boom stand, boom, and then you just shred the reso head, which are like $50 or something. I've done that so many times. So, yeah, I really, really like that invention. Super cool.
Again, Glenn Sobel had the same thing.
Did he really?
Yeah. So it was like one kit or one kick where the check was just like, all right, this one's really heavy for no apparent reason. And you're just like, okay. And then you do that. And he goes, and this one isn't really in use.
Yeah.
It's a dummy kick to make it look like a double bass drum setup.
The dummy kicks,
but like isn't used because he's got a double pedal hitting one. It's
silly,
so funny.
Silly.
Matt Greiner did that for years and years too.
A lot of drummers do it, man. That seems a little weird.
Like, imagine like you contact a drum company. Like, you tell Pearl, like, I need a secondary.
I need 2 bass drums.
Yeah,
and
bass
I never
drum.
play it.
And they're just like,
no pedal on
why
it.
do you fucking use that? You don't. It's so weird. For a tour, I guess it makes sense.
The showmanship element, I get it.
Well, and it's like, dude, I need a DW, Performance Series double bass drum kit.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. I mean, with Matt Greiner, I wanted to buy a Truth kit for 10 years.
Yeah,
I was just I want it so bad. I never got one.
Too funny.
Yeah. But anyway, are we going to Accent or Ghost EQ bass products for bass drum muffling?
So I'll say Accent, but again, as a starting point. It might not solve every problem that you have, but in my case, that's all I'm actually using right now. So I guess I got to give it the Accent. It's what I use, and it's totally fine. All
right, cool. Last topic on Accent or Ghost.
Okay.
Frankenstein kits.
Frankenstein.
So you use multiple elements from multiple different kits, or you just find whatever you can to make a kit.
Yeah. So who comes to mind is 2 drummers actually. One is Sput, right? And not in that it's like different brands necessarily. Obviously, he's a Tama artist, but more so that he'll have the timbali snare in the floor tom position and reversed rack tom sizes. And, Annika kind of does that too. Larnell does that too. Another drummer comes to mind is Nick Baglio. Plays like sort of different heads on his kit. I really don't mind it. I think it depends on if your sound is catered to that, right? Like, if your playing style, if you get used to that and you know how to actually use an eclectic setup in a way where you bring the most out of it, then for sure, I'm totally down for it. For me personally, Benny Greb told me something years ago that I always remembered, where he said one of the things that he loves about Sonar drums is that he feels that they're really good at making cohesive kits, where they're not blending different types of woods to get a certain rack tom sound, but then a different floor tom sound. That he liked that they seemed to focus on making the kits cohesive, where all of the rack tom is made out of beech or whatever it's made out of. And so is the floor tom, right? So it's got like the kit actually sounds like one completed instrument. And, I kind of like that setup myself. That's kind of how I went with this Pearl Masterworks. Like, it's very cohesive. I thought about adding mahogany to the floor toms and, maybe a little bit thicker in the floor toms, like mismatching some things. And I decided not to do that because I like that idea of like a cohesive instrument. But I don't think I would know what to do with that Frankenstein kit. If I had a different playing style, like Sput or Nick Baglio, or even Larnell. And, they have these really eclectic, crazy sort of sounds, and I think they can get the most out of a kit like that. So I don't think there's any wrong way to do it. I think it depends on your play style, really. So those drummers are good examples of people whose play style makes sense for that, right? They Sput especially, just like such a weird musical kind of player that he can make use of. You could give him just pots and pans and it would sound sick, So the idea that he's got all these voices in his head and his kit looks like this pile of random voices and janky different ideas, I like that. I think it fits him really well. So I'll give it the accent. Not for me personally. I like the matchy kind of sound and look and everything.
Picking aesthetics over function.
Yeah.
Again, another example of that.
A little bit. Yeah. It's also a little bit more of like a sonic purist kind of look, and think about this in guitar world. It's like the guitar player who says, I like American guitar tones, and his pedal board and his guitar choice and his pickups and his amplifier would all reflect that he wants this purist American guitar tone. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with a pedal board that's some crazy mix of metal pedals and jazz pedals and weird pickups in the wrong guitar. That stuff's cool too. It's just, are you a purist or not, So yeah, not for me, but I'll give it the accent. I do think it's cool seeing drummers play those kind of kits.
All right, cool. We got a heavy accent on everything.
All accents today, yeah.
All accents today,
cool.
Which is
those are good ones. I like those.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then, really, for the rest of this podcast, we're gonna talk about your new kit, man.
Sure. So, for anybody that hasn't heard, I did an hour-long monologue basically about this drum set. But, dude, I'd love to get your thoughts on it, because you obviously played it a couple times and seen her now. But
I did.
What's your impression of it, man?
So my first question for you, I don't know if you answered it. Your last kit, the Sonar SQ1, was named Sophia.
Sophia.
Which is creepy.
I wanted a pretty German girl name. That's what I wanted.
Is that a German name, Sophia?
I had to look it up, and it totally was. I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you naming this kit?
So this is a great thing to actually ask the audience, name suggestions. Yeah, throw them out there, man. I'm leaning towards Kelly hates this. I don't give a shit.
Good.
I'm leaning towards Linda because it's Black Limba, and so it helps you remember the finish.
Oh, okay.
Right? So she's that Limba Linda. But I don't know. That's what I'm leaning towards. But at the same time, it's a giant joke. It's a piece of wood.
Yeah.
So I don't care. But I would love name suggestions from anybody listening. Seriously. But Linda is what I'm leaning towards.
All right. Cool. So we got Limba.
What does she strike you as?
Limba Linda. Oh man. I like Carol. Yeah.
Carol.
Yeah. Yeah.
Name her Karen. Keep it cultural.
Yeah. Feral Carol. She's a fucking beast, dude. Yeah, it's really. I got to play it. I think you were out of the studio and you're like, "Hey, I got it. Go check it out."
I wasn't here. I just texted him "Hey, go in the studio." I left it unlocked for him.
And I was like, "Cool." And then I it took a minute, and then I realized I had to go do something. So I was like, "What do I wait for him or do I play it?" And I was like,
"Oh, dude, you can play." Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, just I'll fiddle around." And mind you, it has been a full calendar year since I have sat down at a kit.
Yeah.
A full calendar year. So, real rusty gears. But beautiful. I haven't heard a kit sing in person for so long that it was... I mean, I'd noticed that you were still kind of fine-tuning it.
Sure.
But I think that process takes a very long time with a high-level kit like this.
It definitely does. You got to get to know it,
And if you saw it in a music store and you were like, can't wait to play a Masterworks, it wouldn't sound as good as the job you did tuning it, because store clerks just don't know.
A bunch of kids beating
so I think
it all
it's very fitting for the level of player that you are, and it's very good that you got it, and within a day you were just squared away and tuned it to sound as beautiful as it did.
It tuned up quick too, man. Really quick.
And then the finish is really interesting because it's the exact opposite of what you had with the Sonar.
Yeah, it's a lot more interesting looking of a kit. And that's not a knock on the SQ1, but it came in really basic matte colors.
Yeah, you get a matte black kit. It's basically like having just a straight black car, right?
Yeah, but it's a black kit in a black room, which got old,
Yeah, and now you have Well, with the aesthetic of the studio being that you have all these warm tones and everything, and then everything on the wall here, the floors and the
it kind of matches
sound
floor.
boxes.
It's not too far off. Right?
It's very close to the faux wood floor that you guys probably can't see, but it's definitely been shown on videos before.
Sure.
Yeah, very, very, very pretty kit. It feels interesting, like the outer shell feels kind of weird, has like a weird texture to it.
Yeah.
And then the side snare, which isn't on the kit now, but
it's over there.
You've had it on the kit. It took me like 10 minutes to figure out the throw off.
Weird. It's got the button on it, right?
It's got a button.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can like throw a little clip of that button or anything on there.
Sure.
Like
I'll put the actual throw up.
But like the button, I thought it was just like a aesthetic knob on the throw off, and so I was like, I don't want to break it. I kept pulling it.
Weird, right? There's a lot of hidden little, and I remember showing you this actually. There's a lot of hidden little like gadgets in
buttons.
Pearl hardware. Yeah, the hi-hat stand kept sliding away from me, and I'm like, how are there not spikes on the bottom of this? It's like a nice, hi-hat stand. Like, there's got to be spikes on here, and then there's little buttons where it's like boop, like a satisfying little click, and then the spikes like a switchblade just like shoot out of the bottom of the stand. Same with the bass drum have this little, it's like a release on the bass drum spikes. Really, really cool hardware. I don't know. I don't want to necessarily say they're options, but like just cool features of Pearl hardware that I didn't know. It's not like I've sat down and fully explored the hi-hat stand that Pearl makes, but and then same with the throw off. Really weird, that little release button. Super cool. But once you know where it is, it's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. You know? You're not going to knock it with your knee.
Of course, yeah. One question I have is, how do you think, now that you've gone from 20-inch to 22-inch, has that changed your views?
No, it didn't actually change. Still 20.
Still 20. Okay,
Still 20.
Sorry. On Session Studio Select, it was 22, right?
That one's actually a 22. So this is it's a 20, 10, 12, 14, 16, but that's not actually a shell pack that they make. So they sent me like a custom bass drum size.
Interesting. Okay.
Kind of mismatched. Yeah, honestly, I haven't had a 22 in years.
Okay, so this is interesting. So in my head, I was thinking this entire time, because I don't
that I bumped up to 22?
That you bumped up to 22, because when I played it, I was like, damn, that's a solid 22. Real deep, real warm, and complements the rest of the kit really well. Complements all the highs of the cymbals, right?
Sure.
Thinking that it was a 22, because the 22 that I play also has that same kind of feel. So that's awesome for a 20 to feel like that.
Well, there are two things that are different from the SQ1, my last kit. The first is it's an inch deeper, which adds some resonance and a little bit more tone. It might take away a little bit of the punch, but with a 20, that's never actually a problem.
Adds volume for sure.
Yeah, so it's a 20 by 17, so a little bit deeper than you might find for most 20s. But also, there's 2 layers of mahogany in the kick. So it's any of the like extra richness that sort of comes out of it, it's like, yeah, that's mahogany.
It's a beautiful wood. I wouldn't pick any other wood for a bass drum ever.
Yeah, birch mahogany, man. That kit, the Session Studio Select, that's what sold me on that wood blend for sure. And there's a lot of, Tom is doing it with the birch walnut. And before that, they did it with birch babinga,
which is just, it's like, it's a different world, because I love babinga, but it's like, it doesn't touch mahogany.
Yeah, it's not as rich. Babinga is like, it's like a little bit more wet of a sound. Yeah. It's a little slappy. It's still like beefy and warm, but it's like a little bit more of that like wet kind of a slap sound, which is kind of the Tama sound. It's like a wet, attacky sort of sound. But I don't know, man, mahogany just has this really recording friendly kind of richness, there's a part of me that's like, oh, should I have gotten mahogany like in the toms? Like, I'm sure I would have loved it.
No, I think it's very representative of your style and your not reason, but like the whole use of this kit.
The concept of it,
social media and Instagram and how you've made your living, really. Lessons and everything like that. It's very, very, very fitting.
Yep. I think one of the next things that I actually want to do for sure, though, is I want to put regular Evans G1s on the Rezos all the way across the bottom. Right now, I've got Evans EC Rezos, that's what's on the bottom, and I don't think those are, they don't have quite as much sing as I would want. I really want to get like more of like a longer tone out of these drums. They're only going to get so long in their tone and their resonance, because super thin birch shells. Like, it's not going to be a very singy kind of drum set. But I think I can get a little bit more than just like the burst of tone that it has right now. I think I can get him to sing a little longer with a thinner single ply reso head. So that'll be the next thing that I do. It's actually in the mail right now.
Oh,
so that'll be a lot of fun. Get some new tones coming out of it. But
is it going to take 9 weeks to get to you?
I don't think so. Well, I think the problem before that I was waiting on. Well, okay, we should give Evan some credit too. I remember one time, God, the shipping was it took so long back when COVID stuff happened because they were in Boston. They were like fully shut down for quite a while. So that was a pain. But no, I think we're full steam ahead now.
Yeah.
Hopefully those will be here Monday. We'll get some new tones.
So obviously, like, we've been waiting a long time. I don't know if anybody's aware of how long you've been waiting.
7 months since I put in the order. Yeah.
And so I remember you handing me the paperwork or showing me like pictures of the paperwork.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is amazing. Like, can't wait. And you sent me like a photo of like what the finish was going to look like. And I was like, well, this is great. It's like, how long is it going to take? And you're just like, 2 months. And I went, makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And like 6 months had passed.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so, and like, there's no benefit for me to ask this question, but I'm just kind of like, are they sending it to you? Is it going to get to you? And I get it. With the situation of the world is very, very different.
Well, they're smart in that they never give me a date, right? Because they can't commit
which
to
is
a
what
date.
You do, yeah.
I think the closest I got was like midsummer, and so sort of this is definitely my fault. Like early summer, I was sort of like, it could be any day. Like, it could be any day now, couldn't it? And it ended up being slightly closer to like late summer. But I started saying it could be any day in like June. That was too soon. Mm-hmm. But, fully custom kit, it's one of those things like I never even sent an email asking what happened to it, because I think it was 6 or 7 months. But the way I see it, like, why would you want to rush something that is like beautifully constructed? I'm just like, dude, take your time, please. And it is it's crazy having a kit this high end, looking at like the details, like. Mm-hmm. Everything from the placement of the lugs and how just everything is so flawless, like so much attention to detail that anybody who's ever waited for a custom kit, by the time you get it, you're just like, God, that was worth every second of waiting. Totally was.
I remember talking to Casey Cooper about it, and I was just like, because he's a Pearl artist as well, mm-hmm. and I was like, in your experience, because I think he has one Masterworks kit, if I'm not mistaken.
It might be the Music City Custom, which is still fully custom, but a little streamlined. He might have a Masterworks too, I actually don't know.
Made in the same factory, I think was his words. So they're made in the same place. And so he said, well, they're handmade in a factory in Japan.
Yeah.
Because that's where Pearl is based out of. So why would you want to rush these craftsmen? This product is going to be worth every minute that you wait for it. And you're going to have it, if you keep good care of it, forever.
Yeah.
Until you die.
Yeah, it's a lifetime kit, for
sure. Of course, yeah. So my question to you is it worth the wait?
Yes, absolutely. Now, given, if you're talking, a year plus, something ridiculous like that, well, that's a little, it's annoying. But in my case, I think it was like 6-7 months from the time that it was ordered. Yeah, man, absolutely. Because if you're going to have it if you're going to own the kit for 30 years, who cares how long it takes? And keep in mind, I'm not trying to bash Pearl. I guarantee you it takes as long for any high-end custom kit to be made. It's not like Pearl is any faster or slower than anyone else. It takes a really long time to make a fully custom kit like that. And I would really love to know, like, the man-hours put into it. Like, how many people and how much time was actually spent making it? I bet it's surprisingly high.
I think you have the paperwork here.
I do have the paperwork.
I just kind of want to look at it. Does it have any signatures There's
actually two. There's 2 certificates of authenticity because of the amount of drums. They couldn't fit them all on one page. So inside of there's like another paper with the extra SKU numbers on there.
Very careful with this because it seems like it's so nice.
Nice, right?
Cardstock paper.
One of the cool things too is if you ever wanted to add a drum to your setup, like let's just say I wanted to buy an 8-inch tom or an 18-inch floor tom or a second bass drum, you actually send them the exact model numbers that you ordered, and
which are on here, yeah.
They can color and wood match based on what you had, which is even cooler if you bought a used Masterworks. So let's say you bought one on eBay that was made in the 90s. it's probably a color that they don't make anymore. But they can actually color match it if you have that paper and the SKUs for the drum. It's probably on the inside of the shell as well.
Yeah.
But really cool that you could actually send that to them and then have your drums matched. I thought that was a really cool feature. But I need to get that framed and put on the wall behind you.
Do,
is what needs to happen
both
with that.
of them. They're very, very cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to read just kind of what is on this. And
Sure.
I'm sure if you
I
want
haven't
to
actually
post
done
a photo.
that. Yeah, tell people what it is.
So on the certificate, it has a nice gold embossed pearl at the very top, saying that it is the certificate of authenticity as a Masterworks kit. Has the date and model numbers and serial numbers all applicable to his kit. And it says, this exclusive Masterworks custom drum set has been hand-built by a Pearl master craftsman. This document certifies that this set represents the finest materials, technologies, and hand craftsmanship available in pursuit of the ultimate acoustic treatment.
Ultimate.
How awesome is that?
Official, huh?
And then you have 4 signatures on here. I cannot begin to understand these. They're nowhere near legible, and one of them is in Japanese manuscript.
The Japanese signature is sick.
You have 1 for shell construction, 1 for paintwork, 1 for the assembly line work, and 1 for the packing line. Mm-hmm. So every bit of this kit and what made it possible to get to you, it's been signed by those craftsmen and those employees, which
sick,
is
right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
Hell
go
yeah,
Pearl.
man.
That's
Go
so
Pearl.
cool.
Hell yeah. So official.
Yeah. And the recognition of these employees cannot be overstated. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Well, if you guys want to learn any more about this kit, I don't want to nerd out on it too hard here because you can go to episode 30 of the Orlando Drummer Podcast. It's literally just me talking for an hour about this specific drum set, why I made all the weird decisions that I did, the 12-inch tom, the 15-inch floor tom, some info about, the signature snare, which I'm still playing, by the way. But anyway, all sorts of stuff. You can go there and learn about it. And yeah, man. Happy to be with Pearl. Happy to have this kit. And I think that's all we got for you guys today.
Well, I asked you this in person a week ago. Now that you have an extra rack tom, 1, are you keeping it? And 2, are you liking the new orientation of everything on the kit?
It's tough to say if I'm going to keep it on there. Like, it's still fun, but it's like a little like novelty fun. Just like you would have fun if somebody was like, here's like 10 extra toms. You'd be like, well, that's cool. Like, it's fun to play. I'm still not used to it yet. So like, it's hard to say if I'm going to commit to that, because when you do clinics or camps or anything like that, the smaller your setup is, the better. Like, it's annoying to be like, I'm really used to like a 6-piece kit or something, right? But the reality is, it doesn't really matter in this room. I don't move this stuff around very often, so it doesn't bother me to leave it up for now. There's a few mannerisms coming off the ride cymbal where I will miss the ride really often still. So to be honest, the debate I'm having in my head now is, am I going to keep it for Tam Tam? That's the big question. And I don't know. I really don't know, because I'm practicing all these songs on this kit, and there's some things I'm actually getting used to, like tom parts where I am using the 12 and like I keep playing it that way. So I don't know. I'm honestly still totally on the fence if I'm going to keep it. It's still like fun in a novel way at the moment, but I don't know. I'm trying to not be like too much of like a weird purist about the 4-piece set. Like, who cares? Like, maybe I use a 12 now. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I use one now, man.
Yeah.
And then for Tam Tam, I asked you this about a week ago as well. How are they providing you with a kit now that you're a Pearl artist and with everything like that?
Yeah.
How are they doing that?
So Pearl is definitely going to have some kind of kit out there. I'm talking with, I want to say the guy's name is Frank. He's the European Pearl rep. Talking with him a little bit about what kind of kit. But I told him I would love to try the Masters Maple Complete. Oh. I'd love to try that kit, the Cain and Abel finish. So sick, if you guys haven't seen that thing. The finish is actually called Cain and Abel. It looks like something Eric and Proda would do. It's that sort of style.
Okay.
But oh man, it's such a cool finish. I'd love to have that kit one day. So I just told them, I like birch. I don't mind maple. Anything is totally fine. But yeah, Pearl will have a dope kit out there. So that'd be a lot of fun, man. I also don't want to be picky. I look at it as like I'm so grateful to be there and grateful to have the support of all the of all my endorsers, that it's like, dude, what kind of kit does Pearl want me to play? Like, I'm not picky enough to care. Like, I would never give them a specific model and be like, it has to be this.
I mean,
like that seems weird. Like, well, what do you want to feature?
Yeah.
I'm happy to play whatever kit Pearl wants me to play. That's how I look at it. Not so much with cymbals, to be honest. I don't.
Well,
feel,
in that same regard, like
cymbals.
if you're playing Tam Tam and they say, we don't have a Foundry Reserve Ride, or we don't have a a medium thin crash. Like, what do you want instead? The Meinl product archive well enough to just offer up an alternative.
Now, fortunately, with cymbals, that almost never happens because it's so easy to keep the cymbals in stock, right? Like it's not hard to find. But Pearl might not have every model of every kit that they make in any given city, so it's a little more realistic that you could get all of your cymbal requests met, but maybe not so much your kit. But I don't know, for some reason with the kit, I just feel like I don't care. They're not going to give me a bad drum set. Like, even if it was a Session Studio Select, like, I love how that thing sounds. That's totally fine. So, yeah, that'll actually be a really fun part of it to see what kind of kit I end up playing there. But, that'll be really, really fun. Cool. So, hell yeah, man.
All right.
Well, all right. That's all we got for you guys today, man. All good news all the way around. Thank you guys for tuning into episode 31. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. We will catch you guys next week. Take it easy.
Peace.